Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Logic Pro X Tutorials. This channel brings you new videos every week, so stay tuned. For more videos, click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Let's jump into the video today. So in this video, we'll be covering the Logic Pro X main window and its functioning. So to make things a little bit easy, I'll switch on this help menu so that it'll highlight. So the first one is library button, and it has a shortcut that is Y. So let me press Y in the keyboard. This library is the whole contents using with which you start making music. First of all, there is channel strip, which you save during the process of production when you like a set of presets that you like, or an instrument sounding, you go over here and you select the settings, and you have save channel strip as settings. It'll go right over here. So whenever you have a good sounding sound or preset or instrument or whatever it is, it's a good practice that you go and save it. So once that is done, it'll be loaded here and you can recall it whenever you want. Then you have all sort of instruments that you can load if you have added a new MIDI track. Okay, how do you add a MIDI track? Go over here in this plus sign and you have software instruments. You select it and click create. So in this MIDI track, the Logic Pro X is loaded with a lot of instruments from which you can download from the internet if you want. So when you install Logic Pro X, it'll install only some instruments. If you want more instruments, you can go to this sound library and download all available sounds. And you can see it's highlighted here because I have installed everything. That's about the sounds. So you can install the presets or instruments that are available as third-party plugins as well. So that'll also be loaded into Logic Pro X, which you can select from here. So what do? Go to instruments. So over here I have Serum, Dune 2, battery, contact, and everything that you go to install. So it'll be over here, AU instruments, that is. Leave a comment below and I'm happy to help you and give all the details if you want. And if you want something, this whole channel is about helping you guys out. Inspector button. So let me just press it and see what happens. So as you can see, this window opens and closes. So this is actually a very, very important window. So once you selected this instruments, you can actually close the library button because you don't actually need it after that. Take fingerstyle bass. Now I'll open the inspector button. When I selected fingerstyle bass, it has loaded the instrument that is pre-installed, and this comes along with Logic actually. So it's not a third-party plugin. It's a stock plugin, and it's really amazing. You have no idea what you can do with EXS24 sampler. There's a lot, and the future tutorial videos will be covering it for sure. Add plugins over here. So this is the plugin window, and this is the instrument window as I have explained before. And this is the stock EQ. If you want to use Logic's EQ, you just have to double click it and it'll pop up the EQ for this channel. That is fingerstyle bass. So if you don't want to use this EQ, you can just go over here and just off, as the symbol shows. I'll start from the top. So now over here you have the mute, so you can mute the scene and you can loop it, you can quantize it. Since it's a MIDI track, you can simply quantize it into whatever notes that you are comfortable of playing, or there's a lot of settings over here. So I usually go for 1/16th note if I'm playing a little bit more notes in between the metronomes. So I'll go for 1/32. Almost 64 is really, a hard number, but it might be useful anyway. What is the swing A, B, C, D, and E, and F? So that's also 1 by 16th and 1 by 8th, and it's all there. It's a swing is actually brings up a humanized character into the quantization part, so it won't be right in the bar. It might, move a certain bit from each beat or each bar. So it's all a trial and error, and you can try out each settings and see what comes up with each melody. So down here, you have the instrument, you have the MIDI FX channel. So what does MIDI FX channel do? So if you load up a preset, so let me just, a drawing tool, and I've drawn that. Now double click it. So your editor window pops up. So as you can see, the tool that I've selected, this is actually the left click. So if you click command and click, so let me just press command, see the scissor tool shows up. So when you click command, the second tool comes in, so it's always handy. I usually use the pencil tool and the cutting tool or the eraser. I'll give you the description about what each tool does. And you can also see when I double click this MIDI file, the editor window opens up so that I can, play in or write in or whatever the melody into it. So pencil tool and so the same thing goes as I explained over here, even here down here also. So usually take the pencil tool or take in whatever tools that you need for the the subsequent steps. So you can customize one for here and one for here. So that's how it goes. So let me close this window. You can close this by pressing B, or you can just double click on it and it'll just disappear. This is your MIDI effects. So for MIDI effects, you can start by the first one. It's called arpeggiator. So self-explanatory what arpeggiator does, or it'll repeatedly bounce notes in its generator more than what you have inputted into this MIDI file. So let me just demonstrate what it does. Right. So let me click this variation. See, so it dials in more notes when you put the rate more faster. It's really applicable to many of the functions, and you can go through each settings and see how each of these settings works, and it's kind of good in production. So that's that. So let me just pause it and move to the next one. So you can switch off this MIDI effect. And you can add a lot of things. You have arpeggiator, chord, trigger, modifier, modulator, note repeater, randomizer, scripter. You can just go through it. So you have the plugin window over here. So all these are plugins. So these plugins were pre-installed. I mean, when you click the fingerstyle bass, all this preset were loaded, but you don't need it. You can just switch it off, or mostly the presets are pretty good. It's always a good start from. So if you want to add a new plugin, you just go over here and click it, and you want to the recent plugins that you have loaded will be shown over the recent tab, and below it you'll have all these settings. So according to your need, you can select it. So that's the plugin window. Beneath that is the sense button, where you can send the signal to a bus. There are a download of buses that is available for all sort of uses. Like we use bus primarily to add an effect. buses. When you click and press 1, a bus channel is created. So you can add an effect, usually a reverb or something. Then so the reverb is set here. Let that be there because you can add reverb to all other instruments or voices that you add for later on. So I'll just create another bus. You can add distortion to crank the bass through the mix. I'll add distortion too. And the bus doesn't work if you don't pull up this fader up. So I'm pulling it up. And there is another thing also, if this is shown as orange color, this means that it's working in low latency mode, which I have already switched on so that the system won't take up too much load. But if you need the right sounding and if you want to see what's really happening, you just have to switch off the low latency mode because it'll switch off a lot of functionings of the plugins. Right now you won't see it because I have not all loaded a lot of instruments, but it'll be pretty much evident when you add a lot of tracks. And as I increase, it'll go send a more signal into this aux channel through the bus. Dial and see how it is, and if it is good, I'll just add more or less in the mix perspective. So right now I'll just keep it there. If I want to switch on, I'll switch on, I'll switch off, or whatever you want, you can do it. So there's a stereo out, you just have to leave it right there. And there's this group. So these are VCA groups, so you can add groups. So VCA groups are usually group setting where you can add 2 or 3 tracks into same group. So only that comes into a mixing perspective. So right now let's skip it there. I'll explain that in a later video, but it's actually really useful when you're mixing. So these VCA groups were usually used in the analog mixing consoles, but it's also available in the DAWs, pretty much every DAW, I guess. So let me pause this. Over here you have the pan, the same pan you have over here, left to right, and you can click and dial it. So the same setting goes in the inspector window, and then comes and volume level that is being dialed into this track. You have the peak level display that is very useful because when you produce, it's always good practice that you keep it in -6 dB for a gain staging purpose. The left side usually shows this track that we are in, and the right side keeps on changing according to where we are pressing these buttons over here. So after the plugins, when you press bus, it'll take you to the bus 1. Over here, if you press bus 2, it'll go to bus 2. If you click stereo, it'll go to stereo bus. Now it's stereo bus, stereo output. As I bring down the volume, the mixer window shows it's bringing down the stereo out. So this is the master bus, this is the stereo output. You don't want to change this master output, you just keep it as it is. So how do you open the mixer window? The shortcut key is X. It's always good that you know that. And over here you have a smart control button. The shortcut key is B. So whatever track you have, the smart control will let you adjustment to the instrument that you have loaded here. Over here is EX S24 sampler, and if you have another instrument, so you can quickly modify what's going on over there. So right now there's no controls in EX S24, so that's why it's not showing anything, but you can adjust the EQ, step editor, and start smart tempo. So if you are in a MIDI track, editor window shows piano roll, score, step editor, and smart tempo. So if you have an audio track, so let me show you. And if you have an audio track, you will have track, file, smart tempo. Select an input. The input will be 2 that is going to this mic. So right now, so you can see I'm talking and the audio channel is picking it up. Let me record a file right now. Check, 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 check. So I'll change into a pointer tool, double click it, and it'll pop up this track. So whatever I've recorded it's zoomed in and shows you what's there in this audio file. Step editor, over here you have these, vertical bars. These bars actually is the pressure velocity. So you can click and, scroll up and down and it'll increase the velocity and decrease the velocity. It's pretty much useful. Rewind. It'll rewind and forward 1 bar at a time. To start from the beginning, it's always enter. To stop, start, it's space. To play again, you can use space. This is the normal record. And what does this do? Okay, so this is a very, very, very important tool. If you are not recording at this moment and you're fiddling with some tunes in your piano and you have not pressed record, and it won't happen in audio file, it'll only happen for the MIDI file. So you're playing, jogging through notes in your keyboard, and if you press this one, it'll actually, bring up that MIDI file which you were fiddling about, even if you don't click the record button, because Logic is always recording what's going on in the DAW, in the MIDI section. So that's great. So if you don't record and you got a new idea and you want to bring it into the DAW, you just click this button right now. I have not connected my MIDI keyboard, so that's why it's not showing anything. So you can use this button. It's really awesome. This is the cycle button. When you click this, you have bar coming up over here. You can drag this by clicking and dragging, or you can select anywhere, click and drag. So you have it selected over there, and you can also select a point or where you want to play again and again. So check, 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 check. So that's that. It's pretty useful. You have your sample rate display, tempo, your tempo setting, your signature, the divisions. So as you increase and decrease, these divisions will increase and decrease, right? So it's in the order of notes that you play. So this is your scale. So it's always good that you put in the scale which you're working in. And if you want to customize, right click it over here, just right click anywhere over here and click customize toolbar, and you will have all these settings, and you can click it and it'll add all these settings over here. You can see everything. All these has been customized by right clicking over here and customizing. You can auto punch in, punch out the audio. Low latency mode, when you're recording, it's always safe that you put in the low latency mode so that the computer's processor is not overloaded. Here you have the tuning. If you have plugged the guitar over here, the tuning will give you the tuning of whatever the notes that is coming through this channel. So C, D, see, it's just just to show you what it is. Solos the track. But if you have 1, 2, 3 selected, the counting button selected, it will count from 4 beats. This is the metronome button. This is a notepad, very useful again. This is a loop back, very useful, function of Logic Pro. It is loaded with loops, and you can drag in loops and it will convert the loops into the tempo of the project that you're working on. And mostly the key also syncs in if you have, given the right setting over here. You can search by key. So these are just, so these are loops which have no key. But actually these tablas are really tuned, and no matter what, if you just drag it, it'll just change into the key that you want. So let's see. Check, 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 check. See, it'll just change to that key that you have dialed in over here. So loops, the media window, the sound file that's in this project. Everything will be here. You can see the media. You can add content from your iTunes, from your GarageBand, and all files will be a browser for your computer. You can go into your Finder window and take whatever you want from your computer and just put it over here. I highly recommend you go in, you do it by yourself, and you just go through the process. And when you have any trouble or you need help, you just come over to the channel and just ping me, and I'll be there for you. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon again for notification. I'll be uploading videos every week. So let's start this journey together and let's be on it. Thank you so much. See you in the next video. Bye.